Greetings, Otaku Faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, this is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm here to bring you all yet again another Daredevil episode review right here on Otaku Assemble! Weekly, and finally I'm back to bring you all the latest in today's Daredevil episode review, and this is my review of Season 2, Episode 3, entitled New York's Finest. Now, general thoughts on this episode. For those of y'all who caught my previous episode review, I stated I think this is the best episode of the season so far. By none, best episode of the season so far. So, this episode focuses primarily on the first real conversation between Matt and Frank. We've had these two guys duking it out in each of the previous two episodes, and now finally that Frank's abducted Matt up on a rooftop, got him chained to a chimney. This is when we finally get some dialogue. We get some banter between these two men who, regardless of how you try to spin it, regardless of whatever way you try to argue it, I mean, Matt is a lawyer. Of course, he knows, you know, he has the gift of gab. He knows the game. There's no way around it. These guys, I wouldn't even go as far as to say they're opposite ends of the same coin, so much as they're just on opposite sides of the same face of the exact same coin. And that's pretty much the main crux of Frank's that's his whole point in their conversation, which is stretched out throughout the course of the episode, is that, you know, as Frank puts it, Matt is nothing more than one bad day away from being Frank. Daredevil is one bad day away from being the Punisher. They do have, I mean, what they're doing it for the same reasons. Frank is just the line that Matt won't cross. He's the extent, he's the extreme that Matt won't go to. I mean, another good way of thinking about it, he is the living embodiment of the devil that Matt was afraid of becoming in Season 1. Now, the fact that the writers and creators, that they decided to, you know, introduce this type of character into Season 2, the second I found out we were getting the Punisher, I knew it's like, what better way to build off of everything that they set up in Season 1. I mean, when you're talking about the dichotomy that we got between Matt and Kingpin, you know, between Matt and Fist, between Daredevil and Kingpin in Season 1, now it's like, this guy is not your opposite. No, he's on your team. He is on your team. Matt is, I mean, he's pretty much looking at the reflection of his ugly self, of what could potentially become his inner self. And it's just a matter of time. I mean, what does Matt have to go through before he becomes something like the Punisher? And that's what was touched upon in the conversation that we got in this episode. They're slowly setting up, building up, you know, this conflict, and it's not just a physical conflict like what we got in the first two episodes. No, now it is a conflict of ideologies. It's a conflict of beliefs, and the more we get to know Frank, the more we dwell into his background and get to know what he's about, the more all of this is just going to become more self-evident. So the fact that they've decided to go ahead, and here's another thing too. You all will remember in my last review, I talked about how I like how Episode 2, the progress, right? The progression of the plot, the pacing, how quickly this story is unfolding. The fact that we're getting this first conversation between Matt and Frank this early on, I think is a good sign. I think it's a good sign. And I'm curious because, let's face it, this is something we could have gotten, what, midway through the season? When was the first conversation? The first exchange between Matt and Fisk in Season 1. What was that? Episode 6, right? So, what? That was almost halfway through Season 1. Now, I mean, we're only, what, a quarter through Season 2, and we've already gotten this first major meeting, this first big exchange. So, I'm curious to see, now that this has occurred, what is that going to free us up for later on in Season 2? Of course, I have my theories based upon other characters I know who are supposed to appear in this season, based upon other conflicts, other things that have been foreshadowed in Season 1 that I suspect will occur in Season 2, but I'll leave that speculation until I finally see it, right? So, but all of that I thought was good. Once again, we're getting a little bit more information on Frank. Of course, we know he's ex-military, given his training, given the conversation he has with the guy in the building, which I thought was really good. I thought, man, I love that. And then just more information. Do want to take this time to mention Karen, because I did like what they did with Karen in this episode, and I know it's kind of weird to just immediately transition to her, but hear me out. This is the reason I'm bringing it up now. So we know that Karen, she's trying to, you know, well, number one, she was trying to get leverage on the DA, but what appeared to be an olive branch that Karen was trying to extend over the DA pretty much got shoved in her face. But her subplot in this episode, we learned, is resulting in her investigating the Punisher for herself. The reason why I'm bringing up Karen now in the review is because I suspect that she will be our main window into Frank's past. I think we can expect to get a good chunk of his backstory from her, from what she uncovers, from what she finds out, the same way that, you know, we did with Fisk in season 1, unless they decide to do a full-blown flashback episode with Frank, which that is possible. But so why do I say that this is the best episode of the season so far? As I mentioned before, all of the ideas, all of the ideology debates, all of the belief debates, all that type of jazz that we got from Matt and Frank. And then, of course, we got the best fight scene of this season so far, okay? Once again, they decided to do a continuous shot. A continuous fight scene shot. I mean, this fight scene must have been, what, 3 to 5 minutes? Non-stop. Multiple bodies, okay? When Matt has to fight the dogs of hell, when he runs through the entire biker gang, and the way it's shot, I'll be honest with you guys, when they did the hallway fight scene in season 1, which is one of the most iconic scenes of season 1, I'm thinking, okay, what way could they possibly topple that? What, just a longer, bigger hallway fight scene? No, we decided we're going to do it on a staircase. Down the staircase, actually. Throughout a hall, down a staircase. That was impressive. The entire time, the entire fight down, what? They went down, I think, 3 to 4 flights of steps. That was impressive. Kudos. Kudos to the DP. Kudos to the cinematographers. Kudos to the choreographers. That fight scene couldn't take my eyes off the screen, and that's what they want. That's why it's a continuous shot. That's why they didn't decide to go ahead and do any inserts or to cut away from it. No, we want you glued to the screen the entire time that camera is rolling. That I thought was really good. Another note, Rosario Dawson returns to the series in this episode. We got Claire. We pretty much got to see what the collateral damage is from what the Punisher's been doing, what the fallout looks like when we return to Metro General and we saw the hospital is full of gangsters, full of thugs, full of low-level criminals whose gangs, affiliations, associations, organizations have all been hit by Frank, and we're starting to see what that looks like. But I also liked that Foggy was there for that. I liked the exchanges between Claire and Foggy. I liked Foggy's involvement in what was going on at Metro General. And as I said, what we got with the last episode, where we got an idea of what Foggy's life would be like with his friendship with Matt now that he knows Matt's secret. Now Foggy gets some constituents. Foggy is finally able to talk to somebody who knows what it is he's going through, who has been through what he's going through with Claire, because she was, you know, she knew Matt's secret from Jump Street in last season. And so now Foggy's sort of, you know, the whole time they're talking about their mutual friend and how that can affect them. What sort of experience that is, knowing someone and being, you know, associated and close to someone in Matt's line of work. Hell, we even got there was some, we didn't get a name drop, but there was also, you know, referencing back to what happened to Claire's involvement in Jessica Jones and when she met Luke Cage and what happened with that and why Claire's situation has sort of changed because as a result of what happened with her involvement in Jessica Jones. So once again, all of that I think is real good. It's good character building. It's sure shit's good world building. And I loved every minute of it. So like I said, by and large, my favorite episode of the season thus far. And yes, I did find it funny that this episode was written by a veteran Smallville writer. And when I saw that name in the credits, I went, wait a minute, where have I seen that dude name before? And then it took me about a couple of hours before it dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute, that dude wrote for Smallville. Coincidence? Hey, if you're a good writer, you're a good writer. Okay? But so all in all, that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on episode 3. I want to thank you all for joining me again this week. Please, if you like my review, feel free to like this video. If you know anyone who you think would dig it, please feel free to share it. And if you like my review, if you want to see more of them, if you want to go ahead and check in with me, you know, as we journey through season 2 of Daredevil, please make sure that you subscribe to OAW. I'll have an annotation somewhere here on the screen. I'm still trying to decide what I'm gonna do, where I'm gonna place this annotation properly. Anyway, so tomorrow you guys will be getting my episode 4 review, and then after that we're back to my weekly reviews where I will be tackling Flash, Arrow, and finally Legends of Tomorrow. Assuming that they have a new episode this week, which I need to double check if they do. In the event that they don't, you'll be getting my Vikings review on Thursday night. And then once we roll back to the weekend, we'll be following up on some more Daredevil. So please feel free, if you enjoy my reviews and if you want to see more of my stuff, make sure you subscribe to the OAW YouTube channel. And with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I'm signing off, and until next time, peace.